Count money, man. Stack riches. Try and told him I'm a beast, bud.
What's up, gang? Welcome back to another episode of the GRINDcast. Get ready. It's a new day. We have a special boss lady in the house, Marisa Sergi. She is a third-generation winemaker with a degree in winemaking from an Ivy League school, Cornell University. She launched her brand Redhead Wine. Was it Redheaded or Redhead Wine?
Redhead, yeah.
Redhead Wine, and now it's Red's Wine. And I think did that start as a capstone project at Cornell? I think when you were in college, it was a capstone project, and then now it's grown to over 5,000 stores in the United States, including Mayer, Target, Walmart. Some big names I think are now getting your wine. Was that a capstone project?
It was. It kind of was by accident as well. I had no idea how I was going to pursue this whole capstone project situation because I didn't even know what it meant. I just knew that if you were a senior in the winemaking program, you had to complete a capstone project to graduate. So all I saw was this project is going to be between me and graduation. So it was really scary. I did realize just by talking to some of my peers who are older than me, it was a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of vineyard or chemistry research, and that stuff really intimidated me. I'm more of a creative person. So I just asked my mentors at school, hey, would it be okay if I instead designed a wine label, documented the winemaking process, and tried to get it into one retail location, and that would be my project? And they said absolutely. So I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna have some fun with this, because I just couldn't see myself being successful just doing that scientific research. I probably could have handled it if I applied myself, but I wanted to do something that excited me. So I was really glad that me proposing that idea, it got accepted, and I kind of ran with it. And I did not picture Redhead, now rebranded as Reds, to be a business. I just wanted to see if I can get in one store and just tell that story and what I found along the way. But I got an email that changed my life. I didn't realize it's going to change my life at the time, but it just said, hey, if you are a student entrepreneur on campus, want some free food, come to this meeting and whatever. I just saw free food was my favorite wing place called Wings Over, which my friend Dan, who I went to Cornell with, eventually bought the chain, and he's growing it. He's killing it. He has some locations actually just opening up in Columbus. But anyway, I digress. Well, this place, I just brought my bottle of wine. I was going to scoop some food and peace out. But the woman who was running the meeting said, hey, if you're a student entrepreneur, you need to give a business pitch. I had red hair, a bottle of wine, and a plate full of wings. There was no way I was going to escape without someone noticing. So I just Googled wine industry facts. I didn't even know what a business pitch was. And I just strung something together. And the next day I found out I was nominated as my school within Cornell. So I went to CALS, the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. They nominated me as their Student Business of the Year nominee. I couldn't believe it. I was just there for the food, but because of that nomination, I had to figure out how to structure my capstone project to be a business for this pitch competition. And I got really great positive feedback from it. And that's what really catapulted, oh, wow, maybe this could be a real thing.
Oh, you are a hustler. You are a hustler. You were ready. That did not just happen in that moment. You already got some hustle in you. For sure. To be able to turn it on like that, you got a gift. It was God's timing and planning, no doubt. But you are a real hustler. So where did that come from? Where did that mindset come from? Entrepreneurial spirit, witty. You got to have a little bit of that. Where did some of that come from?
I think my entire family. I kind of have a little bit of everybody in me. My mom, she was very outgoing, always found a way to find a solution. So I had her as a role model growing up. And my father, he was always putting together a deal, Italian man, always having his friends over and his conspiracy theories, and of course his business that he started, which was L'uva Bella Winery. So I grew up in that environment. So I think having both of those great role models in my life, and I still have my parents in my life, really prepared me for that moment. I snapped into action, and it just kind of worked out.
So L'uva Bella, you're I think the title there is Chief Growth Officer.
Yes.
I like that. I need one of those, Josh. We got to note that. I don't think I have a Chief Growth Officer, but we got to get one of those. I like that. Tell me a little bit about the L'uva Bella. Did I pronounce it the right way,
Yes,
L'uva
you
Bella?
did. Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about it.
L'uva Bella was started by my father in the early 2000s. It kind of was a positive thing out of an unfortunate situation. I really haven't told this story before, but my father, he used to work for the Ohio Department of Transportation, paving roads and everything in between. And in the late 90s, he was eating lunch in his truck, and a drunk driver ran through a red light and hit his car as a T-bone. So my father had 6, and still does, 6 dislocated discs in his back and neck. He wasn't able to work because he was in a lot of pain. So he just didn't know what he was going to do next. He didn't want to earn workers' comp the rest of his life and not do something. He liked to be active and be creative. So my father started sharing my grandfather's wine and the wine that he made with him together. And people were like, oh, I need more of this wine. Do you have any more? He gave it away, and he didn't have any more to give. So he's like, oh, maybe if I created some wine, got a license, I could sell it and make some money for my family. Well, my father started a wine juice business, bringing in fresh juices from California, selling it to his friends, and also making wine for his personal use, and then got the license to sell wine legally in the state of Ohio. We all started working with the Gerusa Company. They allowed my father to use some of the cooler space during season, so he was able to bootstrap a little bit and see if the business had any viability. And he sold out every season, so eventually bought a building on 224 in Youngstown, and that's where we're at today. So L'uva Bella kind of started as a fresh juice company, but we were now selling.
Where's that at on 224?
So if you go past the Poland Giant Eagle towards Pennsylvania, we're on the right hand side.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out. I was just at Aquapazzo recently.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
Yep. Yes, I have. So the Gerusa Company, I'm really good friends with Tom Ziden, who owns Aquapazzo. It's definitely a full circle moment. His family, his father helped my father get started, and we still have a great relationship till this day. So we personally love Aquapazzo as well. And because of the Gerusa Company, we were able to get started at L'uva Bella in the early 2000s.
Wow, beautiful. So that tells me a lot. It sounds like your family's had a lot of influence on the direction of where you went with your career and business and all of that stuff, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a very close family, still are. So knowing that I have had such a privilege to have a supportive family is something I don't take for granted, and it's something that I try to pay forward through mentorship. I'm an entrepreneur in residence at Cornell and help people in Youngstown with their businesses. So it's something that I know I had that privilege, and I try to do what I can to help others along the way with it.
What was it like to start working with Walmart? What was that interaction?
It was scary, to be honest. I didn't think I had a chance. I went through their open call program in 2017. It's Walmart's program to help get businesses that are small and medium-sized CPG brands to start selling with Walmart. And I thought they were going to say no, but I was like, I got to shoot my shot, right? And I was really lucky that they really enjoyed what I had to offer and gave me a test market. My test market was a little more unique than most. I had to literally drive store to store and convince every manager to give me a chance. So every time I got a yes, I would email Walmart, said, hey, the Boardman, Ohio Walmart manager, Tom at the time, said, yeah, let's bring it in. And then we sent some product. So it was a hand sell. I drove all across Ohio. It took me 2 years.
Wow, let's go. So you had to meet with them all and sell them all one at a time.
Yeah. It was so hard because you don't know, are they there? Are they off? Are they on vacation? You show up, they're in a meeting for 2 hours. I was like, oh, Lord. But, the hard work paid off because I got to meet a lot of really cool people, a lot of patience. There was a lot of frustration with missing, some opportunities, but the people I met in those moments really have uplifted me and my business as I've grown throughout the years. So some of my friends that I met that are friends with me till this day, they're working for corporate. So they know that I'm genuine. They know I'm going to try to do my best by them and their business. I'm not going to just sell them something and disappear. I'm here for the long haul, and having that real trust has really helped me grow L'uva Bella's wines with the chain.
That tells me a lot. I mean, to me, that's a big part of the story. Without that, you're probably not doing as much business with Walmart. You had to meet with everybody in person. So I'm sure everybody would love to have Walmart's business, getting it rolling. But how many people would be willing to hit the road for 2 years? Because I'm sure people from the outside looking in probably say, oh, this girl, she just got lucky and her family was, already in that type of a business. So that's why, she's had some levels of success. Because you always have that from people just that don't understand, not necessarily haters, but they just don't get it. They don't know what it takes. They don't understand what you had to go through, and hit the road. But when I'm hearing that of like, wow, I just spent 9 weeks in a row on the road, traveling. And to me, that I'm like, this is a lot. I don't want to be on the road 9 weeks in a row, but that's what was required, at that very moment. And to hear you on the road for 2 years, that sounds, expensive with time more than anything, gas, hotels, but just time. And did you get 100% yeses? Did everybody say yes? Because I could see you closing everybody. No. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, definitely not. I still have trouble to this day. I mean, not everyone understands. It's a really big company. So, I go where I'm welcome and I try to explain, what we have to offer. But it was hard. After about 2 years, we got about 60 stores on board, which was a lot. I didn't go to all of them in Ohio. I mean, I didn't make it down to Cincinnati at the time. I was mostly focused on Northeast Ohio, all the way to like Sandusky, down to Columbus. That was kind of what I focused on because I figured if we were successful there, we would be successful elsewhere. I needed to figure out with the time I had and the distance and everything in between, how could I control this test market? Because it was really something you had to be hands-on, because if your product sells out and you don't check on the store, is it going to be reordered? Are you going to be forgotten? You have to be there constantly so you could make sure that even though you got a yes, it doesn't sell out. And then it shows on the computer for Walmart's data, oh, you've made 0 sales in the last 8 weeks. So it's because you're out of stock, right? So it was a lot of hustle. And a lot of people don't know that I started a company separate from my parents. I had my own LLC. I did my own accounting. I paid my own way. I invested my own dollars. I had a manufacturing contract with my family, so I paid for, the cost and the manufacturing of the product, the glass, everything. And I made pretty much 0 money in the first 2.5 years because I didn't realize at the time it was super costly to sell one SKU. It was my Red's Red Blend. So going all these miles, all these stores, and only selling a box or 2 to each store, I didn't make much money. So at some point I was like, okay, I got to start making some money at this point. So I proposed to my family, hey, I know distribution. I know retail. I've been on the road for the last 2.5 years. Why don't you hire me to work at L'uva Bella and I try to build your distribution business? So I made pretty much minimum wage because I'm family. Okay, I'm rolling up, trying to build a distribution business. And I got the ability to not only sell my product, but I was selling my family's products. So it was more profitable for me to go to each stop. So then fast forward, I realized that we had a huge opportunity, not with just my brand, but my parents' brands, Purple Rain and Passion. So with my now husband, Evan, we came together and said, hey, let's propose to your family to buy them out. My parents were ready to retire, and I did not want to wait for succession or anything like that. So my father said, hey, make me an offer. Let's get the valuation of the company from a third party. So Evan and I literally put every penny that we had earned jointly together to put a down payment on an SBA loan to buy my parents out. And that's how we did it. And that's why we're at where we're at today, because kind of the dominoes, they fell all at the same time, and it made sense. I had the experience. He had experience. Evan, has a background in M&A, sorry, I can't talk today, and entrepreneurship. So it just kind of all made sense.
Unbelievable. Those are the things that people would miss. Of everybody'd love to have a successful wine business and own their own business, but how many are willing to go 2 years plus doing all the work and not making the return, immediately? And the investment of time, and how many no's, I think you said you were in 60 Walmarts. How many no's do you think that you got on the road out there?
A lot. Not necessarily Walmart, but other stores too.
Just no's, period. What percentage?
I probably got a 60% yes rate. I knew how to put myself together and sell the product, but
closer.
I think
60% closer, 40% no's. That's a lot of no's though too.
Yeah, it was, but I turned a lot of those no's into yeses later. I took notes. I remembered who I spoke to, because after you go to hundreds of stores, they all blend together. So you want to remember, I spoke to Lori at Bueller's. So I was really trying to make sure I was putting things together, right? So I really put it through the notes and was really organized.
Seemed like, from what I've understood, 2013 to 2020, your company was doing good. And then over a couple years, there was a ton of growth and expansion, tremendously, 2020 to 2022. Tell us about that. What did you see that helped you take that from good? I know a lot of it you've explained, but took it from good to the next level.
Sure. I think it's a great question. I really haven't been able to answer that before. So it was two things. Evan and I took over. The acquisition was closed in May 2020. It was in the middle of the pandemic. We had no idea how it was going to go, but we decided to bet on ourselves. And a few months in, we realized a lot of our competition could not fill the shelves with wine. So with the supply chain issues, we had enough glass, we had enough supply. So with looking in the history of L'uva Bella, I knew some of our brands in the last 5 years have grown consistently, added value, had great sales year over year in a diverse group of retailers. So I knew if I pitched a distributor outside of Ohio, I knew we were going to be successful. I did not want to pitch the company during this pandemic and then it was a big flop, because I had that data and we had the surety of supply. I decided, okay, let's try to get one new state and see how it goes. So we launched in Memphis, Tennessee with Athens Distributing in November 2020, and it lit on fire. I could not believe how much wine we sold. We were only in 9 stores, 9 Walmarts, okay? We only launched in 9 locations. I wanted to control it, because the one thing you have to learn in sales, and something that I learned the hard way, if you aren't sure about something, don't do it. Because if you cross that line and you get that opportunity and it blows up in a bad way, you're branding yourself as someone that isn't trustworthy and your product doesn't sell. So I wanted to be really strategic about where I started. Started small, but we sold, I still think this is the actual number, 2,793 bottles out the cash register in 9 stores in 3.5 weeks.
Awesome. Crazy.
Like, I laugh at it because it's unbelievable. It was in the right spot. I partnered with a market manager, Sean. He was amazing. Sean and Kathy from Memphis. They put us in the right spot in the store for customers to find it. We had great point of sale. We did some advertisement on social media. So it all lined up. It wasn't just because it was in the store. Like, you had a plan for it. But it was just the perfect combination, everything. And people really enjoyed the wine. And it was a repeat purchase. You know, they liked the packaging at the beginning, but they came back for more. And
now you started the business with one person, and now you got thousands of stores, I think, that you're dealing with. Sounds like thousands of bottles of wine getting pumped out. What is your advice on leading others? Because I'm assuming that you have other people helping you.
Yes, we have a team about 35 at Lupebella right now, and we have a really great team, really great culture. I think the best advice for leading is to lead by example. Be very clear, communicative, showing that you're showing up not for your company, but for others as well. Making sure that you are doing everything you can as a leader to support your team. And with that, it's the domino effect. Everyone sees that and wants to lead by that example too. And it really creates a positive culture of a company that wants to do good by not only you, but for them and the group as well. So that's something that I've seen do really well. Like my husband, he works at L'uva Bella. I work from home most of the time, but I come in once in a while. He's the first one there and the last to leave. And I think that's so important, because if your boss isn't showing up, why would you, right?
Come on. Give it to him. That's the truth. A lot of people want to lead, but the first person you got to lead is yourself. And I think the biggest form of leadership starts with your example. And so just to hear the support from you, of a lot of women, a lot of men also, just, people in general, couples, the other spouse.
Everybody
doesn't understand. They want that person home, but they also want them to grow the business, at the same time. How important do you think it is to have the right, spouse and people supporting? Because I think that's a game changer. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's so important. I'm really fortunate because Evan and I both grew up with a family business, and Evan has seen the pros and the cons, and so have I. And we both agreed going into business together that we would speak from one voice. I feel that when you have two motivated individuals, sometimes, although you're on the same team, that kind of gets lost in translation because you want to be the powerful one. You want to be the leader. But when you realize you're on the same team and you have the same goal, you need to come together and make sure that your message is the same at all times. So we agree that we speak from one voice and that we agree upon things before we make a decision. Or if I need to make a decision in my department, which is, the sales and distribution, Evan trusts me to make the right decision for the group. And I trust Evan to make the right decision for the group in his department. So it's not like we have to micromanage each other. We know that we're literally on the same team, and we have a really good sync, really good
Love it.
Synchronistic message and leadership style.
Huge. What are some of the adversities that you faced as a young woman operating, your own company, and, how did you overcome some of those adversities?
I have to say the wine industry has been more progressive than ever. I have seen a lot of great changes and a lot of companies welcoming me more than ever as a woman. But there's always a couple individuals that are still really rude, really sexist. I know if I go into this meeting by myself, the outcome will be different versus if one of my male counterparts were involved. So there are some unfortunate circumstances like that, but for me, I know when the situation is going to be like that, and I prepare. I make sure that I am well versed in what I'm supposed to do to accomplish in that meeting. And I know at the end of the day that regardless of who I am, what I look like, I'm educated. I'm in this meeting because I'm adding value. And I'm here to make sure that we're having a successful partnership. And I will stick up for myself in a professional manner, but sometimes it is tough. So I think the long-winded, well, the short-term answer for that is you just got to know who your audience is and who you're dealing with and be prepared to handle it, because unfortunately in this business, if you don't handle things properly when it's negative, you can get completely barred from the business in a certain sector. So yeah, it's a lot.
It seems like, the past few months on social media, you were documenting a lot of your travel and this crazy schedule as you were expanding into new states. So talk to us a little bit about that. What was that like, that travel, that schedule, that grind? What does it require? Because outside looking in, people probably, again, man, she's lucky, it was easy, for her family was already there. That's why, and stuff like that. So in your mind, how would you explain to somebody, here's some of the sacrifices. This is what that schedule required. This is what it has required. It ain't all sunshine and rainbows.
Yes. It requires a lot of uncomfortable situations. And what I mean by that is putting yourself out there in moments that you might have outside of your comfort zone, going into stores and meeting people for the first time. Are they going to be excited to meet you and learn about your products and your company? You might have to travel to a new place by yourself, or overcome challenges that are really hard to discuss, like, on this podcast. Like, for example, I have a trip upcoming to go to North Carolina next week on Monday and Tuesday. And part of that trip, I have to go to several stores that bought a bunch of my product in the Christmas season, and they switched out their displays, and I have like 20 cases of my wines in the back room. They're not putting it out. It's not selling, and it's not going to sell until it's back out on the sales floor. So after many failed attempts to get things resolved, I'm going to be driving all over the state to meet with those stores and try to rectify the situation, because once the product is out, it sells. But there's a lot of layers of people you have to go through to get those things done. You can't always just do it from your computer, or you can't always have your distributor fix it because they have another 1,000 other food and beverage items to sell. So that's a challenge I've been dealing with since January. And we've gotten some of it resolved. To have Cecil, my territory sales manager, out there today working on it, but I'm going to fly down and try to fix it. But there's a lot of emergencies throughout the week we have to handle, not just something like that, but distributor politics, getting into retail and what it's like handling those relationships. Every morning, you just don't know what's going to come in your inbox. So documenting can't talk, all of these travels. I'm trying to be a little more transparent, because I don't know if you listen to the podcast, How I Built This by Guy Raz, but they talk about these companies like Oh Dang Snacks, like the coconut chips. They talk about the backstory, the knit and grit to get started up, but they usually skip the distribution. How did you get in those 1,000 retail locations, right? So I thought, why not share that? I've been looking for that information. I'm sure others are looking for that information. So I want to share that. I want to be the person that shares the stuff that you might not want to show.
Yeah. So what is that? Give me, what's that schedule look like? Is that What is your current schedule? How would you describe your schedule to someone currently right now? Do you have tons of free time? Are you super busy? Do you need to stay super organized? How long are you going? How hard are you going? I know you mentioned your husband, first one in, last one out. What is your schedule, and what has that schedule, as you expanded, what did that schedule look like?
Yeah, so I work from home. So him and I both start at the same time, but I'll just do all of my sales and all of the strategic distribution growth, like the projections or working with retailers, having meetings, just because we have outgrown our office space at the winery. And since most of my sales team also works remote, like Cecil, he lives in North Carolina. Kenna, she works from home most of the time. She's from Canfield, but she also works from home because of her sales role. And we also have another support figure at the winery, Delaney, but she's in the office with Evan, just overcrowded. So this way, since most of my team works remote, it's still the same.
Yes.
So average, I will go out and market to 2 states twice a month. Last week we were in Tennessee. Next week I'll be in North Carolina. We're going to New Orleans and trying to meet with some distribution down there. And I'm going to Alabama in July. So I try to do at least a couple market visits each month. So every day is different. There's a new emergency I have to handle in my inbox usually. Some unknown. I'm sure you deal with fires all the time.
All the time.
But I like to say, be productive. Don't be busy. You want to make sure that when you are working, you're getting stuff done. So I could work 8 hours a day. I could work 12 hours a day or something in between. As long as I'm actually doing something to move forward. If I don't have something going on, I might go visit my grandma. I might look up other companies and what they're doing and think about the future. So I'm always doing something, but I'm not going to just look at a spreadsheet just to feel that I'm working, right? Productivity versus being busy is a huge thing for me.
Well, as we start to wind down, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that listen in. There's a lot of young entrepreneurs that listen in, and you started your company young. What advice would you have for other young entrepreneurs just getting started out?
Do not be afraid to put yourself out there. I didn't find what I was passionate about until my senior year of college. And it's only because I decided to speak up for myself and asked to do something I actually enjoyed. And once I got the ability to do that, I started networking. I went to meetings. I joined some entrepreneurial groups on campus. Previous to that, I was too afraid to just try. I was too afraid to put myself out there because I didn't want to be rejected. But my father gave me a piece of advice that changed my life. And it was, the answer is always no if you do not ask. So if you don't ask, you're already rejecting yourself. So why not just get rejected, right? Ask away. You only need one person to give you a chance. And that's what catapulted my success. One person gave me an opportunity, then it led to another. You gain some trust, gain a network that understood what you were about, and it kind of all progressed from there. I see what you do for your company. You're always out there. You're networking. You're at all kinds of places with your conferences, leading your people and sharing messages of the same type of hustle. And that's what it takes to be successful. Showing up, putting yourself out there, and showing that you actually have a value to offer. It's not just one way. It's both ways in sales.
Amen. Well, it's easy to see why you're the person in charge of growth and why your business is growing, and it's amazing to see what you and your husband are doing. What a bomb squad, what a power couple.
Thank you.
Look forward to meeting them one day. So congratulations
Anytime.
for everything. I know you're just getting warmed up. Keep doing the work. Keep it up. I'm looking forward to tasting your wine. I got to come to your place now. I look for a reason, I have to. I'm in Youngstown a decent amount, so we're gonna have to get in touch and see if I can come out there and taste some of the goods and see what you got cooking over there, because I know you're growing, so you got to be doing something right.
Thank you. Open invitation for sure. You and your team.
How would somebody go about contacting you or following you or anything like that, which social media platforms?
Sure. You can find a lot about Lupebella on our website, which is www.luvabella, which is LUVABELLA.com. Or if you want to reach out to me personally, most of my social handles are the same on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. It's at Marisa Sergi. One S for Marisa, and Sergi is SERGI.
Love it. Congratulations on everything. You're an absolute beast. You're an absolute beast. We got to get you back on here. I could have went for another hour with you, and so much stuff that I'd like to pick your brain on at a later date. So we'll just have to bring you on another time if schedule permits and if you're open to it. But very,
Absolutely.
very, very good job. Congratulations. And we appreciate the value that you've added to our listeners out here. I know people's lives are going to be impacted by hearing your story. So congrats on everything. And those of you out there, thanks for joining us on another episode of the GRINDcast. Get ready. It's a new day.